Now, it's a moment our first keynote speaker is coming on stage. Please use the chat to ask questions. I will pick some of them for a Q&A at the end. So let me introduce you to Sara Roversi. She is pure energy. Sara is an experienced entrepreneur and thought leader in food ecosystem, setting the agenda for the sustainable food industry. Described as a game changer who knows how to drive change, she has a flair for exploration and prosperity thinking. For the last 10 years, she's focused on the mission to take food leaders and youth to the next level of achievement through education, research projects, and innovation challenges. She founded Future Food, a purpose-driven ecosystem facilitating evolving positive change in life on Earth, promoting food innovation as a strategic element to achieve sustainable and impactful growth. As I share with her the passion and dedication, I am thrilled to invite her on stage to present her keynote, Food Innovation as an Essential Need, Rethinking Food to Heal the Planet. Sara, welcome.
Ciao, ciao, Matteo. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here with you today. So I am gonna share with you this next 20 minutes, really sharing what's my life, what's my passion. I'm Sara Roversi, as Matteo says, and I'm sharing this journey with Matteo as well. And I'm a food entrepreneur. And I had the chance in 2012 really to get exposed to the global ecosystem of entrepreneurs at the G20. And for the first time, I actually understood what was the real power of food. So what is food? Now, I want to share with you what's really food for me. What's the role of food in my life, and I think in everyone's life. If you think about food and how food is connected with you since where you were a kid, you can easily understand the power of food, that is life, is energy, is nourishment, is love, it's family, it's celebration, it's experiences, it's inclusion, it's community, traditions, culture, rituals, identity, symbols. Food sometimes really embed all our values. The food we choose actually embed all our values. Food is a language. And I suddenly understood that when I started working in this sector, because the first business I started in food was starting the biggest sushi chain in my country. Was almost 15 years ago. And I started really getting engaged and involved and starting loving the Japanese culture. And I started understanding that going through food was the best way to deep dive into that culture. So I told you that I feel really lucky to work in food. Of course, I was born in Bologna, the capital of the Italian food valley, surrounded by traditions, biodiversities, history related to food. But also, back in 2012, for the first time, I understood that I had a strong responsibility as an eater, because every time I eat, every bite I make actually can make an impact, but also as a food entrepreneur. And I started seeing that actually the sector I was involved with actually is a sector that has a tremendous impact on the health of people and on the health of the planet. Then, of course, year after year, I started learning, investigating, discovering what was really the impact of this sector. I understood that 1/3 of the global gas emission are generated by our sector. I also saw that actually this sector is creating huge inequalities. The chain is a chain that actually is creating huge inequalities. And there is still people dying for hunger, but many more are suffering for overnutrition. And this is really a nonsense. And then I started wondering, what's the role of the food industry? Because now we know that we cannot feed the world just with farm to fork for more than 1/3. So the role of the food industry is crucial, but also we are understanding that this food industry needs to be reshaped. And we still feed ourselves for more than 70% of calories that comes from processed food. So I started connecting the dots and started thinking, actually, what's the scenarios we're going to find in our future? And I saw that the numbers are giving us very clear suggestions, very clear inputs. The majority of the people in the world by 2050 are going to live in hyper-urbanized centers, in big cities. And then we all see the effect of climate change, desertification, issues with waters, and so on. And we know that we are going to struggle in the future to produce our food. So going back with time, in 2015, when Matteo and I were already starting the Future Food Institute, the Food Innovation Program, we had the chance to have in Italy the World Expo. And the same year, the United Nations were launching the Sustainable Development Goals. So of course, I had on one hand my experience as a food entrepreneur, the feedback from my partners, my entrepreneurs, my neighborhood, the people working in food. And on the other hand, I was getting awareness around what's the impact of my industry. And I started having also kind of a guideline, because the Sustainable Development Goals really were setting the stage and giving the KPIs and giving the direction that everyone should start to follow. So working on that, are you still seeing my presentation? Because something happened on my computer. No, nothing, everything came back. So going back to that, we started really watching what was the effect of that. And seeing that the big question that everyone was asking us, how much we're going to feed 10 billion people by 2050, was really the big challenge that each of us is facing. And so we started redesigning our compass and mapping out the innovations, the research, the prototypes, the startups, and all the papers that were published in the ecosystem, the global ecosystem of food. And we suddenly understood that food is hyper-globalized, and that food is a very complex topic, is a very complex sector that is touching everyone. And we started studying how people embedded in a specific cultural framework through digital transformation was actually disrupting its relationship with food. From the environmental perspective, so how we produce food, how we transform food, the topic of access to food, the topic of nourishment, the disruption in lifestyle, and the topic of awareness. Then COVID came and everything had been reset. Eating lifestyle have been completely disrupted. I'm sure you also are feeling the same things we have been feeling here. Restaurants closed, all canteens closed everywhere in the world, million people unemployed, and also tons and tons and tons of food that went waste, and a deep disconnection between the farmers, the farm side, and the retailers and the chain. We all been feeling this reset, and we've been seeing the same things happening everywhere. Long queues within grocery stores, a big obsession for safety, and we started really resetting the frame of priorities, redesigning our pyramid. Really, we have been seeing that food security has been the first reaction, so we need to secure our food. And the second one was the question, is this food safe? So a lot of technologies and innovation have been accelerated very shortly in the past few weeks. And the last question that came up in our mind after months of pandemic was the big question, where this food is produced, how this food is produced. Can I support the farmers? Can I get in touch with the ones that are feeding me? So, of course, we have been seeing a lot of transformation happening very fast. And we have been seeing the implementation of farm to fork platform, facilitating the connection between farmers and consumers. We have been understanding really well the importance of smart urban agriculture, and that situation like that you see in Newark, close to New York, that anyway is a food desert, even if it's inside one of the biggest cities in the world, but has been able to provide fresh greens to the families and the neighborhood over there. And also the home farming have been growing so much. We have been feeling the big reset, a big disconnection, but also we have been understanding the power of food in connecting with the people that were sharing the meals with us. Of course, we have been eating in a different way, cooking all day long, and we see the effect of all of that, because we see that people is cooking much more, people is wasting almost nothing, and people is also starting eating a little bit better. So resetting the entire set of our priorities, we really have been starting thinking, how might we restart in a way that is going to be good for us, good for people, and also good for the planet? Because anyway, now we are seeing the pandemic. We're going to see the big effect of unemployment in the world in the future, but also we know that the climate issue is going to be anyway a big priority for all of us. So what's the scenario? What's the scenario we are facing? We are going to see in the next months, of course, a huge impact made by the disaster of the millions of job losses that everywhere in the world we're going to see. And of course, if people are losing their job, they don't have money to buy good food. And this is going to be an effect, because this is going to affect on their health, on their safety, and so on. And also, we are going to see a huge effect on the psychological perspective. We're changing our behaviors. Now, the fear of COVID is really changing our psychology. So all of these inputs, the role of food, the values that food represent, the impact that food makes, and also the COVID experience that have been transforming the entire world together in the same time, is really creating new city landscape and new effect on our behaviors. And we have been seeing the popping up of interesting signals everywhere in the world. And now the big claim is better safe than sorry. And this is changing completely our experience and is really damaging all the beautiful experience that generally we have the chance to do around food. Better safe than sorry is the claim. And we see that cities are changing landscape. We see that there are queues everywhere and not being designed the space to approach the situation where we are now. We see also kids implementing new solutions to face all the restriction that now we are forced to follow. And also within restaurants and our industry, we see that all the beauty of food, of the sharing food, can really be damaged. So what we came up with is really the concept that freedom, because now we are free, we can get out, but without empathy, because I can get out, but I will also have a mask. You cannot see my smile, you cannot see if I'm happy or not. Freedom without empathy can really destroy communities. And we know that food can be the tool to heal this situation, because food has the power to connect people, food has the power to unite all of us, and also food industry making the good choices can have a tremendous impact on the environment. So we know that food is energy, life, and all the values that I've been sharing with you. And I'm sure that you never think about that when you are eating, but if you focus on that, you clearly understand what's the value of food. But also, we want to know what's next. How might we are making our impact in the world? How might we help the industry working with us? How might we help policymakers redesigning the system where we live in? So together with Matteo, since the beginning, we really have been delivering all our projects, designing all our projects and experiences, being very inspired by the Sugar Network, design thinking, and all the experiences that you also have been doing throughout these months. Because we love to prototype and we love really to see the impact happening. And so we started really understanding how might we add all the tools and the approach and the learnings that we get during our journey, really improving this concept and trying to take it to another level, to another step, and really trying to engage the community and the society as much as we could. So with the Future Food Institute, since 3 years, we started working very closely with the United Nations, with the Food and Agriculture Organization at the UN, with UNIDO, that is the UN Agency for Industrial Development in Emerging Countries, and working with local communities in the different places where Future Food now is. So in Japan, in US, in Italy, and in all the other chapters where our alumni now are expanding this network. And we started understanding that saying that, okay, we must be sustainable was not more enough. We had really to turn all of those words and videos and nice tweets and so on into real actions, because we cannot just keep going talking about that. We really need to act, and act very fast, because there's no time. We don't have time to do it. And it's clearly an important thing to say today, because today is anyway the UN Day of Environment and Sustainability. So this is the perfect time to say something like that. And so we started designing an update platform, an update map, putting food, culture, and digital transformation, and all the things that we have been saying before at the epicenter. And starting watching what's the role of food in the world, what's the role of food in our life, seeing really that food plays a crucial role within the diplomatic area. Food is a tool for diplomacy. We talk about food diplomacy because food can be something that can solve conflicts here in my city, conflict at the global level, conflicts and disease, and food, and bringing food security and food safety in a country is a way to heal the society, protect the society. Then we started thinking about circular economy. People just talk about circular economy as not just a matter of thinking the business. And we started thinking about circular living, and the fact that we need really to spread this concept, and thinking about the kitchen probably as the epicenter of the energy of our house, because we consume energy, we produce waste, we eat, is the place where actually things happen, and the life is around the food for us. We are humans, we eat food. Without food, we die. So food and thinking in a circular way is becoming a crucial thing from a business perspective, but also as citizens. Then we started thinking about climate smart production, climate smart ecosystems. And we've been working on climate smart cities, climate smart farms, climate smart oceans, and now also in climate smart kitchens, in projects and with communities, really understanding how might you create an industry that is profitable, that is also climate smart. So it's taking care of the environment, taking care of the community, and also creating wealth and prosperity. And then we started highlighting the power of food in terms of culture, food identity. This is something really important. Food is something that is really important, because now that we live in a hyper-globalized world, anyway, food is something that touches our heart, our loves, our history. My DNA, my food DNA, that I come from Bologna, probably is different from someone that was born in Modena, that is just a few miles away from here, because my grandma was growing me with some specific recipe and some specific foods that anyway are now embedded with my culture. And the last is not less important than the others, is prosperity. And we really think that we need to redesign the KPIs for the industry, and that SDGs need to become really a framework for everyone to follow. And when you bring prosperity, you bring anyway a new way of approaching the world. So making sure that our approach and our values and all the elements that made this process pretty unique, open, and shared, we started really thinking that if in the past, in the history, we were wrongly thinking that we need to push people buying the things we want to sell them, of course, design thinking has been a huge discovery, an epiphany, something that changed completely our approach. So we started really designing things with our consumers, our community, and you know what I'm talking about. But at some point from 2015, when we were raising our own awareness about what's the role of food in the world, we really started thinking that we need to add a little trigger. And now we love to talk about making things that the planet and humans want, making things that are good for us and good for the planet. And so we started really thinking that human and nature need to be at the epicenter of what we do. And we love to do it every day in our living labs, making live prototypes every single day, involving people, involving families, farmers, industries, policymakers. And the SDG 17 is the most important point. Partnership for the goals. Partnership for the goals. This is a great example what we have been doing in these months, connected together in the global landscape, working together from different backgrounds. This is pretty unique and is what words needs now more than ever. This is in your hand. This is your choice. And I want to share this with you because that was the issue of National Geographic in April. So you can choose the world you want to see in 2070. And every single bite, every single choice you make can have an impact on the environment. And this is going to be the world if you take good choices or bad choices. And remember that each time you gather around the table, you are honoring your past. You are experiencing the present with your friends and family, the one sharing the meal with you, but you are also preparing all of us for the future. So I really hope that from now on, when you're gonna eat, you're gonna have the chance really to think about that. And also, if you will find yourself supporting a company working in this sector, think about the impact they can have on million people.
Thank you very much, Sara. It's inspiring as always. And I have a question for the last 2 minutes that we have together, which comes from the audience. It is, what can each of us do today or tomorrow to turn inspiration into action? So what is it at the edge of chaos that leads into the best possible world?
Let's say, from my perspective, I try really to prototype whenever I can. If I have an idea, I try to make it happen. I try to make it. I try to see if it works. I try to involve my community and share it. So if I have to give my 2 cents to the guys here, I really invite you to look for collaboration, never stop learning. I'm hungry for learning every single day and keep going learning and keep going prototyping, iterating, prototyping.
So we are in the best community for prototyping. There is another question, which is which stage you think is more relevant for creating an impact on, saving the environment? And do you think it's production, is consumer, is policy? What is the thing that we need to do?
This is an interesting question. And I think that in the past, many people thought that that was the responsibility of someone else. So consumers will have to change. Policymakers have to make the good policies. The industry should change. No, this is a collaborative effort. It is a community effort, cooperative effort. If each one take his part, we can reach the goal. If not, it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. So as a consumer, me when I wear the hat of the entrepreneur, me when I wear the hat of the innovators, we need really to make it happen together always, having this as our goal.
Thank you very much, Sara, for sharing this thought with us. I always say that innovation is a collaborative effort, and I truly believe that that's actually the answer. So everybody. Thank you.
Good luck.
Big
Good luck,
chat
guys.
storm for Sara. So get ready with your emoji. Make sure that everything is, in your chat box, and hit send when I say sugar. Okay. 1, 2, 3, sugar. Thank you, Sara. Thank you very much.
Ciao, guys. Thank you. Bye.